Hey Michael, this week we were able to continue to develop Addie, focusing on the implementation and evaluation phases. You have a great start, but this draft still needs a lot of development, so I'm here to help you with your draft. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about with you are your objectives, and I noticed that you just need to double check to make sure that objective one follows Bloom's taxonomy when writing your learning objective statement. And both objectives don't follow the ABCD approach to objective writing. So make sure that you check those because the objectives are really important. The second thing that I wanted to talk about with you is the time. So I noticed there were some areas where you capitalize things, but then you didn't capitalize other words. I would suggest not capitalizing those extra words that I pointed out. Over here, for this word, when doing formal writing, you want to avoid contractions. Over here, you should just be using the last name of your author and the year if you're following APA 7. And I included a link that would help you along the way. On your survey questionnaire, I would suggest adding in the purpose and importance of the survey so the kids know why they are taking the survey. And just make sure that your survey aligns to your objectives when you're doing those as well. In your content outline, I noticed that you have 7 days worth of instruction. You should go into a little more detail about your plan for each day and include details to really make a more cohesive and thought out plan. For under this area here, under time, I would capitalize these words. For this one here, because this is the first time you're introducing this acronym, you want to explain what CTE stands for because there might be some people who are unfamiliar with what that acronym means. Right here you have the word the that needs to be deleted just to make a clearer sentence. I did look at your script and I know that you made some changes to your video. So make sure that your script reflects what's in your new video. For this storyboard link, I tried to click on it and the link is locked and I'm unable to access it. So you do need to fix that in your final draft. The video link, you made some really great changes in your video. You had a 2-minute video that you cut down to a little over a minute. If you're trying to hit that 60-second time constraint, there are some parts where you could clean up or redo your speech, but overall you made some nice revisions. For your assessment, because you have 2 objectives, you do need 10 closed-ended items and 3 open-ended questions. And if you look back at week 3, number 12, it goes over the requirements for this particular area. For the paragraph that goes with the assessment, you are missing 1 peer-reviewed reference, so make sure you include that. For the evaluation planning, level 1, level 2, level 3, and 4, I noticed that you didn't really have any artifacts listed inside these paragraphs. So I would put the artifacts being used in your lesson in each level. I did notice that you put level 1 and level 2 sample evaluation forms after all the levels. Again, I would suggest placing these in each level. And then for the level 1 evaluation form, you do need 3 more statements and 2 more qualitative questions. And then after the sample evaluation forms that you had, I saw that you were missing your statistical analysis method paragraph. Just think about what method you'll be using and use research to back up what you've learned in that paragraph. For blended learning and in-person learning interventions, be sure to include why the method is best for this training, and I would include information from Rothwell to back up your claims. For the learner target audience, I would add that the learners do work with one another. And for your table, I noticed that you had periods at the end of these sentences. If you want to keep the periods, make sure they're complete sentences. But if they're just intentionally phrases, make sure you delete the periods. And I had a bunch of areas where I pointed that out. For the neuroscience of learning, you do want to use examples from his video in your paragraphs. And I noticed when I was looking at your paragraphs, they didn't have any, they had some paraphrasing in there. Make sure you cite your paraphrases in your paragraphs. And then in your rationale, I read through your rationale and I noticed that you didn't have any references. I would have at least two in these two paragraphs. And then the last thing here are your references. You do have references here twice, so I would delete this one here. And you have some extra space that you could delete. I did go through all of your references, and I noticed that trends and issues in instructional design and technology was not cited in your paper, but it's listed as a reference. So if you did reference that, make sure you cite it. Or if you put it in your references and didn't end up using it, make sure you delete it. And the last thing I want to talk about is APA 7 formatting. I included a really nice, easy link in there to help you out. But in the new APA 7th edition, you can delete the words retrieved from, and there's an explanation of that in the link. So I hope you found that helpful. And if you continue to develop your draft by including some more details, modifying your objectives to follow the ABCD approach, include examples, write a statistic analysis approach, and cite paraphrase sentences, you'll have a strong ADDIE process. So I hope that my peer critique was helpful and have a nice night.